98, pal.
We're almost there, man.
We're getting closer.
And what better way to especially celebrate our 98th episode with a special guest other than Khotso Marumo from Lesotho, eh?
Thank you guys for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Khotso, yo, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. Long time coming.
It has been a long time.
Very long time coming.
It has.
Yeah.
But we connected when?
I think it was sometime last year in 2021.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what episode it was. And then Ryan shot me a message on LinkedIn. I think, I sent you one.
You sent me a message first, yeah.
Did I?
I remember that. Yeah, you sent me a message. I got this message. I'm like, Lesotho's proud. Like, hey, how's it, man? Yeah, we started connecting. So, it was actually you that you made you shot the first missile. And, we started chatting and I spoke to the guys about it. I said, listen, you won't believe. I got a message from a chap out of Lesotho. Like, he's watching our show.
It's actually not what happened. Ryan came to work. He said, I've just connected with the king of Lesotho.
Oh, my word.
I pretty much did say that.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
Am I lying? Am I lying?
No.
Yeah.
And the next
you like rocking Lesotho.
Definitely.
But obviously there's some sort of parallel things going on. Yeah, you're running your YouTube channel, and what we thought was so cool was Ryan came and said, I've connected with this guy. He watches our show, and you were trying to, at the time, and I think you still are trying to boost your YouTube channel.
Yes.
Like we were for such a long time.
Yeah. So
I hope we got you one or two listeners.
You did.
I hope
quite
so.
a few, actually.
Good.
I think so.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, you got me past that 100 mark.
Okay. Where are you now?
Last I checked was 318.
Okay.
So I'm pushing for 1,000 this year.
Okay.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
I thought I'll try 500, and I said, no, let me
push the whole way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
It's quite awesome though. Like I just love the vibe between content creators and collaborators. That's where it all started. We know what it's like to start off in the middle of a pandemic, like not knowing what we're doing, but we've got this idea in our head, and we thought, well, let's push for it and let's see what happens when we get to 10, 20, 100.
Yeah.
And you shot that message and you said, yes, I love what you guys are doing, and you've got the show going. You want to get to 100. I thought, awesome. We had just reached, I think, 1,000
at that time.
So
yeah.
Brian pushed really hard for that.
Do you know how I did the 1,000?
was that through LinkedIn?
Well, yeah. I built up a decent, not thousands of people, but 1,500 connections or so on LinkedIn. And I thought, well, I'm pushing out content every week on LinkedIn because we were pushing a lot of stuff there. And I thought, no, to hell with it. I'm going to ask people now for a favor.
Yeah.
So I DM'd every single message, every single person in my connections list there, every single one.
Yeah. I told you not. I went and did exactly what I
know.
told you. It happens anyway. He sent us a message on our group the one day. He said, Oaks, I've started Project 1,000.
Oh, my word.
I think it was on a Thursday.
Yeah.
By Tuesday, we hit 1,000.
No way.
Roosevelt went on a mission.
No way.
Yeah. Myself and Preston just watched this whole thing and it was like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
But
I just asked people. I said, listen, I've got this. You've seen me on LinkedIn. I've got this channel. I'm trying to build it, and I appreciate your support. Then what I did, I gave it 2 months.
Okay.
Then I went back. And every single person that hadn't replied, I ditched them off my LinkedIn.
I think I remember that. You didn't mention it.
But fair enough. I mean, think about what LinkedIn is all about. It's a professional network that you want to connect with people that you can call on to ask, can you help?
Yeah.
So
and
I gave it
and
vice versa. So I gave it a couple of months, and then everyone that didn't come to the party with at least a response, I got rid of. And now what I've got is this network on LinkedIn that I know has actually done me a favor at some point.
Right.
It's like Jordan Peterson says, ask someone for a favor so that they can ask you one in the future.
Favor. Yeah, exactly.
That was my theory there, and I think it worked kind of well.
Yeah,
I think it worked really, really well, and it proved everything that we had been speaking about since we started this, through the pandemic. What our theme was, our main mantra, our idea was to listen, let's start a platform where we positive, pull everyone out the funk, and it's grown from strength to strength. So as we grow, the guys come up, and it's like a
But hasn't it helped?
Ponzi scheme, not a Ponzi scheme, but a pyramid scheme in a sense. But it's helped so many people, and it's grown from strength to strength,
including ourselves, right?
Absolutely, ourselves. And that was the whole thing. About
it was actually for a lot of the time, Khotso, we were actually talking to ourselves at the beginning there.
Right.
We had lost our jobs. We didn't know what was going on. Didn't know if we're going to get back in the flight deck. So when we're sitting here saying, guys, you've got to be positive, go out and look for,
it was to help you guys.
It was actually, we were talking to ourselves there.
Right.
But then when guys like you come along, it gives that affirmation that, hey, hang on.
There's something here.
There's something here. And maybe you are influencing beyond the little studio here. Yeah. So thank you for that. And
you're welcome.
Welcome again to the show. So Khotso Marumo, aka Lesotho's Pride. It's got a very cool YouTube channel. Go and check it out. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. What struck me with you, because Ryan, for a long time, let's get Khotso on the show. I said, for sure we're going to get you on the show. But then you got your comm the other day. You posted something on Facebook. And, and that really resonated with me. You wrote there, it's been a journey, 10 years in the making, wasn't straightforward, learned the value of which passport you hold. How it determines how fast or slow.
That's a story.
How fast or slow you can progress in aviation. You learned the value of money, the contributions that family have done for you along the way. You learn the value of life, health, patience, being on the brink, hospitalized, placed in ICU, all thanks to a certain virus. Which virus was that?
I don't know.
But that really sort of resonated with me. And I thought, we got to get you in here. So it really is a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
No, not a problem.
Yeah, what a privilege, Khotso. Thanks for making the time and making yourself available to come and visit and chat with us today and tell us your story.
First time at a sim center?
It is. Yes. It is in South Africa. Definitely.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
We managed to sneak him in the MD sim and the ERJ very briefly, but
going to be flying that one day. Don't worry.
Yeah. No. Well, he's one of those guys, isn't he? When he says he's going to get 1,000 subscribers, he's not asking, do you think you'll get 1,000? He's telling you he's going to get 1,000.
Well, there's something in that, it's already someone who's made up their mind. It's about mindset. He's told himself, listen, one day I'm going to fly an ERJ or an MD, and I'm going to do it. And ultimately, I'll slide this in here quickly, but that's how pilots become pilots. It's because you tell yourself one day, listen, I feel good about this. I like this. I'm going to become a pilot.
Because it's a journey, Ryan.
It's a hell of a journey.
It's not like
some of us get it done in a year. Some of us get it done in 10 years. But it's about passion. It's about perseverance. It's about
resilience.
Everything. Resilience.
Yeah, you keep going.
And it's a hell of a journey, whether it takes a year or 10 years. And that mindset. So like you said, you got to believe this guy. So well, I'll be back here, and I'm going to be flying an ERJ. So
no doubt about that.
Yeah,
I think you'll be flying something bigger.
Yeah,
than an ERJ. ERJ will be a stepping stone. But you make a valid point there. If you talk about the journey of becoming a pilot, one of the things that sort of rubbed me up the wrong way during the pandemic, and it's because of that pilot mentality. You spend such a long time training, you get into an airline, you earn your stripes, you put in the hard yards, you start at the bottom of seniority and you work your way up. And I think that's one of the things that the pilots had in the back of their heads. And I think it's one of the things that stopped so many guys from going and trying something else is because they have but hang on, I've spent 15 years here flying an aircraft. I can't just stop today and go and start something else.
And I imagine it's quite hard because, so when I started my PPL training, I got my pilot license in Dundee, Scotland.
Yeah.
So I got the YASA, actually one of the first.
You look a bit Scottish.
Oh, do I? And then
he's probably drank more single malts than we ever have.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I got the license there. One of the first few batches of individuals that got the YASA because it was JAR.
Yes.
Before that, and there was a lost my trail of thought there now.
No, you were telling us about how you got started as an EASA student.
Yes. Okay. So got my PPL over there. And
how did you end up there in the first place, though?
So I was doing my bachelor's degree there.
Okay.
My parents wanted me to get a degree first before doing my pilot training, because I've been wanting to be a pilot since I was 3 years old. I had a little toy airplane, a Boeing 747, and then for whatever reason I just didn't stop liking planes from then. So when my parents said, okay, get your degree, once you're done with your degree, then you can start the whole flying thing. So I was doing my bachelor's degree there, and then as soon as I was done, I'd worked for a bit there, saved some money, applied for a scholarship. The UK aviation ecosystem there, it's quite amazing. There's a lot of support for youth. So there's one organization called the Air League, and what they do is they take youth and they take you to events, aviation events, take you to prospective employers or just operators. So there was one occasion where we had gone to RAF Bryce Norton, which is where they keep their C-130s. It's their transport division. So I saw a C-130, A330 tanker, and it was just an amazing experience. I've never seen that, in my life. And then they also provided a scholarship. So I applied and thinking, I'm not going to get it. And then one day we went for the interview. One day they called me in and said, hey, we're giving you the scholarship. It's going to be Swire Group, which is going to be funding it, which is the owner of Cathay Pacific.
That's great.
And I was like, oh my word, very exciting. So they provided 12 hours worth of flying to get me solo, and we had to do it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting experience. We did that in 2 weeks, and then I already saved up a bit just to go ahead and finish off the license. So I went back to that same school, and then I think it was in 3 months. Yeah, I finished off.
Okay,
fantastic.
So you did your JAR or /EASA PPL long before you'd actually come to Southern Africa.
Yeah.
Okay. Khotso's doing it the other way around, you see.
Yeah.
He's doing this thing, it's called difficult pilot. You do your EASA first, and then you come here and you do your SACA.
So I'm going to digress a bit, because we like that, we chatted a little bit before the show. So that's a bit like popping the cracker before we open, or start dinner at Christmas. But so he does an EASA PPL. Somewhere in the mix of your whole story or journey, you learn how to speak Mandarin.
Yes.
And then you end up finishing your South African commercial pilot license. How does that happen?
Some people, when they go into flight training, as you said, they do it in 12 months or 18 months, whatever it is for the commercial pilot license. And then others, as you know, the pilot training is very expensive. So one has to go and do a second career to save up for that. So when I'd finished my PPL, had to come back to Lesotho because my UK visa was running out there. So I came back and I was thinking, what am I going to do? And then I also applied. Then at that point in time, I had a friend of mine. She was studying in China, in Beijing. And then I asked her, hey, I understand you had a scholarship to go there. What's the process to apply? So she helped me out. I applied again. I was just thinking, am I going to get this? I don't know. We'll see. So I got a scholarship to do my master's over there. And I figured, China is an up and coming country. There will be a lot of work opportunities. Let me go and try that out, which I did. So I did the master's, and then I'd worked for about 4 to 5 years, saved up the money for the CPL. And I wasn't supposed to come back in 2020. I came back in January 2020 for holiday for 4 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then obviously the pandemic hit, or the epidemic hit in China first.
Yes.
So they told me, no, you have to stay temporarily. And they opened up in March, the 12th or the 11th. And they said, okay, you can come back. So I had a ticket booked to return on the 19th of March. 19th of March came, and an Air China flight was coming in. And I think halfway through, because it's about a 16-hour flight or so, halfway through, the South African government said, all flights coming in, only South Africans can disembark the aircraft. So it came, it landed, South Africans disembarked, everyone else had to wait on the plane. refuel, catering, all that stuff.
And got sent back.
And got sent back.
And that was the start of this whole
and that was
Corona hoax.
Exactly.
Gee
Exactly.
whiz.
You can't say Corona.
Oh, sorry.
We're gonna get taken off YouTube again.
Again.
Did you see what happened
Second
last
week in a row.
Ryan and I were absolute choir boys.
We were
on
church
the show.
mice
We were
last
church
week.
mice.
Yep.
We didn't swear once.
Yep.
Video got taken off YouTube.
Really?
Well, this one probably is because we're talking a lot. But yeah, for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't meet the community standards.
I came across an awesome saying the other day. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm not going to swear because I'm trying to keep us on YouTube. But there was this saying I came across the other day. It's like, if you're not living life on the edge, you're wasting space.
Yep.
So.
Yep. We're jumping off the cliff here.
So now you land back in Johannesburg.
Yep.
You get off the plane in Joburg.
Yep. So I was meant to get that flight back to China.
Yeah.
And then because my plan was to return back and finish off my commercial, because I had converted to the SACA PPL.
Okay.
So I wanted to finish the commercial in 2021.
In South Africa?
In South Africa.
Okay, all right.
Not in China. I actually went to a flight school there just to inquire how
Yeah.
much it is. And they quoted an equivalent of 1.5 million rand. And the reason being is because a lot of the general aviation aircraft there are diesel engine based. There is hardly any or no avgas in China.
Wow.
Because it's expensive to import.
Mm-hmm.
So they use diesel.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
My impression was that the Chinese always did their PPLs on A320s, which is
well, that's what they do. They come here because I know there's one school in South Africa that just solely trains Chinese students, and then as soon as they're done, they head back and they're on to 737s and
all the big stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. Lucky
them. How did that happen?
So it was a long roundabout way of doing your.
Yes. So got a work opportunity there, saved up, and then I was forced to come back earlier than expected. I still got my stuff in the apartment in China.
Oh, really?
I do. But yeah, so forced to come back and obviously wait for the pandemic to sort of finish and restart my train, and then here we are, finish my comp.
Sure. That's so awesome. Your Chinese quarantine should end in about a week.
I'm aware.
You've been here for 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, geez, so hell of a roundabout way, but what a story.
Yeah.
We haven't had the opportunity to actually congratulate this man in person, so let me handshake you now.
Thank you very much
on getting your com. Well done. It's a an achievement well deserved, especially after 10 years, man.
Yeah,
it's quite something. It's sticking with it. You've got it done, and so you've done it. You've got your 3 stripes, and so what now?
What next?
Working on my instructor's rate, and as you're aware, most not easiest, but the opportunity that's most available for new comp pilots is the instructor's rating.
Yep.
But then there's an interesting question there, because now, for example, in the United States with the FAA, they are very clear with what you can do in terms of advertising your pilot services. I think it's part 119 or something like that. And they say, okay, you're not allowed to advertise and say, hey, this passenger can go from A to B, and you go and rent a plane. But you are allowed to fly somebody within a 25 nautical mile radius from the departure airport and come back to the departure airport. So they're very clear as to what you can do in terms of a freelance pilot. But now in South Africa, when I was looking through the law, you're sort of left to interpretation as to what you're allowed to advertise and what you're not.
So what are you saying? South African aviation law is hard to read. Well, look, I think it's, from what I understand here, as a freelancer, there's nothing wrong with promoting yourself and your credentials. If you've got a com and you are capable of doing certain flying, you can advertise that. Obviously, if you were a company, you can't advertise that company to fly people from A to B unless you've got an AOC. But as an individual, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong,
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, what's made it difficult in terms of South African regulation is, in years gone by, you could be rated on King Air 200, 1900, a Learjet, a Hawker, 700, whatever the case may be. And you could fly for 3 or 4 different companies as a freelancer and charge a kilometer rate and basically be a free agent. No problem. However, what's made it more difficult now is the fact that you need to be recent and simulator trained on type.
On each type?
On each type.
Okay, so
King Air 200, 1900, Learjet, so if you're going to be a free agent pilot and fly 4 different types, it's going to cost you a ton of money to remain current and simulator trained.
So what you're saying is you've got to specialize in one and advertise your services on that aircraft.
I'm a King Air 200 pilot. I can freelance and I can do this. Obviously, the CIA wants the proof from each operator that you're familiar with each operator's, operations manual,
which is fair enough.
You sign a document, you get familiar, get trained, and all that kind of thing. That's more up to the operator kind of thing. But certainly nothing wrong with you being a freelancer. But my advice would be, pick a type, stick to a type, because otherwise it's going to cost you as an individual a lot of money to remain current. Yeah.
But going in that direction of doing your instructors, building up some hours and experience doing instruction, I don't think there's anyone that's done that I've ever heard say, I wish I had done it another way. So it's a very popular way of doing it. I think South Africa's got quite a high standard in that regard. We see around the rest of the world, the whole instructors thing has kind of fallen away. I mean, you get a TRI in certain parts of the world, you're an instructor, but there's none of this. You don't go through the same process that you'd have to go through to get your grade 3 here in South Africa. So a South African instructor still holds a bit of weight as far as I can tell.
I think it's a worthwhile qualification to obtain. Get it, hold on to it, whether it takes you places or not. At least you've got it and you've worked for it.
Keep it current. Don't let it expire.
I kind of, in my early days of flying, I had the opportunity, but I chose to go more the bush flying route.
It was a different era, right?
It was a different era.
There was different things going on.
Yeah. And sometimes I wish I'd done my instructors in the early days.
It was about 5 eras ago, Khotso.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Telling our age there.
But no, look, it's definitely worthwhile doing. And
no, I look forward to it. I definitely look forward to it. I think there's a lot of value behind instructors rating you. You get to know how to deal with people in the air, and I imagine that just translates all the way up to whether in your Part 135 or 121 operations, CRM. Dealing with people is certainly a skill. It's certainly a skill.
Are you going to do this at a specific school? Are you advertising at various schools around? I mean, nothing concrete yet.
Nothing concrete yet. But
there's always a demand. Instructors are in demand. Don't have to look too far across the pond to go and see what's going on there.
But I am looking into doing it at the current flight school.
Okay.
That I'm at.
Oh, fantastic. Well, wish you all the best for that.
Thank you.
It's a good journey. I would recommend doing that. I got my comm. My old man said you can't go and fly until I've got my ATP subjects. I went and did my ATP straight away. And there was a bit of a stress involved there because I then got a job on a jet straight away, and I wasn't getting any P1 time, but I had to get my ATP inside, 5-year sort of period. So that was a bit of a stress. If I did it again, I'd probably go the direction that instructors the way you're doing it. But very cool.
Now, it's very interesting how in comparison with Europe, if you do, you do your CPL, they go straight into either Ryanair or EasyJet or in one of those airlines, A320. But then over here and then obviously also in North America,
different story.
There's
a lot going on in North America at the moment with that. The unions are fighting vehemently against it, saying there's no ways we're dropping that restriction because I think they're going for 750 hours. I think military 750 hours, you can then go into one of the main carriers. But the unions are trying to stop that. It was there for a reason in the first place. I don't think it's awfully bad. And I think Ryan would agree. If I look back now, some of the happiest moments in my aviation were those, it was that beginning period, 250 to 1,000 hours, the charters, the odd dicey contract. That was awesome. It was an awesome time, and I wouldn't ever want to get rid of that.
Me neither. I mean, it was that whole phase.
Imagine going straight into that airline vibe, complaining about your roster.
Yeah, the whole thing. Like, if you haven't started a rumor by, or if you haven't heard a rumor by Top of Climates, now you better start one.
Yeah,
the whole usual boring rigmarole. No, I totally agree.
Although that's where the podcast is.
Yeah, I want to get into that like later on.
Yeah.
But no, my early days of flying are definitely my fondest, because that's where you get your feet wet. That's where you scare yourself. That's where you test your limits. You grow your boundaries, and definitely my fondest memories were of that part of my flying. And yeah, it's everybody's got to go through that before you get into the rat race of airline flying. Let's just it is what it is.
Yeah, airline flying is you strive to get to the airline, and you need to, because normally that's where the salary is, and that's where the long-term career is. Ultimately, we do this to look after our families and things like that. So you put having fun aside and go and fly for an airline. And discussion we had this afternoon, which way is it going to go? Airlines are making the most of the fact that there's a lot of cheap labor around at the moment. How long will that last? I mean, the exodus to FlyDubai is just remarkable. I mean, I've got an article here. I think they bought a few more Maxes coming their way.
Yeah.
There's someone on their LinkedIn that keeps posting, one of their HR guys obviously keeps posting a picture of the new intakes. It's this big hall. I mean, it's full of people every week.
Massive.
And what better workforce to go for than the South Africans? I mean, a lot of South Africans without work, all well trained, they're going to go. And
I couldn't help but giggle this afternoon. We were chatting to an ex-colleague of ours, earlier. Obviously, the recovery that we'd been anticipating is happening a lot quicker than we thought. So guys are getting opportunities. It's happening, and if the airlines aren't careful locally, they are going to lose a lot of qualified and experienced pilots. And I mean, right now,
isn't that just inevitable?
It's sad, but it's almost like I just want to laugh at the exploitation that's going on. It's like, guys, seriously, you need to wake up. You need to look after these guys, because you've got gems, and the guys are going to run. The local airlines, I get it. You look after a whole lot more, keep guys employed, etc., etc. But if you want to hold on to the qualified, good pilots, start looking after them. Really. Look after them.
Would you argue now? Mango closed not so long ago.
Did they close?
Yeah, so Mango's.
Oh my word!
I thought you were wearing that shirt, hoping you would get into Mango.
Yeah. No, that's yellow. That's for lift.
Oh, he's lift.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, because you come from
the new
China,
crowd. Yeah,
it's like the whole Airbus A320 thing. I see your vibe. I know
new crowd.
Yeah, konnichiwa.
The crew that went to FlyDubai from Mango, are they in a much more secure, not only financial but career position now going forward? I mean,
I think so.
You've got to take the leap and actually go for it. But Sean's there, a few guys are there. I mean, they probably wouldn't be there if Mango hadn't closed, and I'm sure. They don't look back at it now and go, I wish I was still at home in South Africa flying for Mango, wondering if I get paid at the end of the month.
Yeah, and when I get home and I land and I've signed off after my flight, when I get home, will I have electricity and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
right. There's none of that.
Ryan, we started the show saying we're going to be positive on the show. So
Positive / realistic. But anyway, I'm not going to take away from that.
Yeah.
Well, they're positively in a better place.
Yeah.
In Dubai, so
thanks, Khotso. I appreciate that.
But something important, it does open a gap. It does open a gap for guys like yourself that want to fly for a local airline, where if there has been this exodus, there are one or two gaps that guys with low time, less experience can actually get in.
Yeah.
So I think something positive to look forward to here in South Africa. Certainly, one would want to watch this industry very closely going forward?
That's an interesting question, because the way I understand it, or the way I've pieced it together, is that what a lot of people do when they start off with their career, they go with their instructors.
Yeah.
They instruct for a year or two, and then they'll go and do bush flying either in Botswana or Namibia or wherever, or they'll go and do contract flying on B1900s, and then after that they'll come back to South Africa and apply to the airlines. Does that still hold true?
I don't know. Ryan and I had a chat this afternoon about Airlink, for example. We know that they're growing at such a rapid rate that it's just obvious that they need pilots. Where they're going to get those pilots from? Ryan made a valid point, because I said, there's so many ex-South African Airways guys and SA Express guys out there that might fit in there. Maybe it doesn't quite fit the experience level that they're looking for at the moment, and it is so difficult to run an airline, and we can't sit here, and I would never do here, is sit here and criticize like a Roger Foster and say you should be doing this. I don't know. He's the expert at it. That's why he's still there. However, you see at the moment there's quite a few startup airlines in South Africa, these airlines popping up out of absolute nowhere. And you look at those and you can't help be ultra critical. Obviously, nothing more we would want than two brand new startup airlines starting up in South Africa with, a range of aircraft. I mean, the one crowd, 737s and A320s, 777s and A330s. I mean, I couldn't think of a worse combination of aircraft that you would have to start up operations.
Trial and error.
Yeah. And then, you look at Airlink and look at what they've done, and they'll end up becoming a case study for other airlines going forward, because they've obviously done it right. So we certainly, what did we say the other day? What we like to do, we commentators in the industry.
Yeah, I think that's where we see ourselves.
We're not like trying to say you should do this or should do that, but thank goodness for the likes of Link that we do have someone to actually look at and be quite proud about, even though we're doing it from the outside, Aaron.
No, of course. I mean, I suppose what we're doing with the podcast is obviously commentating very objectively, because I suppose in terms of pilots, we're on the outside sort of perimeter right now looking in, and we've got a lot of friends that are both inside and outside of this big circle of actually flying and not flying, and we see things from a variety of different spectrums, and we get to appreciate different points of view. But that's why I say, local airlines need to look after the guys that are here, because the experience is leaving. And but to answer your question, Khotso, will things eventually follow suit where guys get back to that thing where they finish their licenses, do the instructors? Probably yes, I suppose, in times to come, because the need for experienced guys will be there. And then remember, I'm talking about guys that are even flying in 1900 contract positions now are getting jobs at the likes of FlyDubai. So those guys aren't necessarily coming back to South Africa getting into the airline. So there's already a gap that's becoming.
Yeah, the guys are going straight from a contract
straight into an airline overseas.
Overseas, yeah.
So definitely, I think
there's a total different outlook on the industry here.
Yeah, no, compared to where it was 2 years ago.
And also the whole thing with the flying in Botswana and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't like to throw a comment at it, what it's like today.
Yeah.
But I can't believe that it's a fraction of what it used to be.
Listen, the guys that there's a YouTube channel that you got to watch of the guys that fly out in Mount at the moment. There's an outfit out there. I'll refrain from commenting on their name or whatever, but go and watch them. A hell of a big outfit. They operate a massive fleet of caravans. And guys come out from New Zealand and the UK to come to Botswana to go and fly for them to gain the experience. And I was watching these guys and I thought, shit, that is bags of fun, So, follow the instruction route, go and do some of that, because that is great experience. That is, take 2 or 3 years out of your life and go and have fun doing that.
Mhm.
That is
Well, he's gonna
that's
have
where you grow balls, man.
Yeah.
you're gonna have some fun instructing in Johannesburg or Pretoria.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a busy airspace.
I'll be falling off a cliff every day with that one.
Yeah. No, there's a busy airspace out
Mm.
there, and I tell you what, from an gaining experience and dealing with multiple things going on at the same time, kudos to you there, because it's not easy.
Yeah. I mean, the bush flying aspect is definitely interesting, and one of the things that I was thinking is why, as of yet, there hasn't been a growth of the bush flying industry in Lesotho itself in terms of mountain flying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had found out from one pilot that one of the main reasons is because of pilot insurance, or not aircraft insurance, actually. Aircraft insurers are not allowing them to fly into Lesotho because it's a hazardous environment.
You can say that.
It boils down to a mathematical problem, really.
Yeah.
Is cumulus granitus
Right.
at a certain altitude versus cirrostratus cloud at a lower altitude.
You had me at mathematical.
Yeah, like those two don't mix, and clouds, mountains, history dictates. Not a cool mix, man.
No, that's true. That's true. But you
don't have the longest runways there either.
True, 400 meters.
Yeah,
you can give it a go.
Gee.
Yeah. Look, the bush flying for me, I'm not overly interested in that. I don't know.
I did a bit of it, and I tell you what, it's actually a thrill. There's an excitement there that you just won't know. I mean, you watch this guy, missionary bush pilot in Papua New Guinea. He's doing mountain flying, taking these Kodiaks, which is like a mock caravan or Charlie 208 into these mountain strips, like 800 meter, like a 10-degree gradient runway. It's nuts the flying these guys are doing. So it gets the heart beating. I don't know. It's probably the closest you could get to flying an F-14 nowadays.
True.
What are you doing after the podcast?
Yes, I'm watching Top Gun.
Yeah, I'm going on Saturday. I'm booked. Hyde Park, 4X Cinema. Me and the missus.
Is it?
Yeah.
I got to find time in my busy schedule to try and sneak out and do it. So
take the toddler with you.
Yeah,
I'm quite excited about this.
I think I'm doing this solo, man.
The what people are saying on socials is pretty positive. Another, for once, a good sequel and all sorts of things. So looking forward to that.
It's a long time coming, especially having to wait 2 years or so. For it since they finished production. So really looking forward to it. Yeah,
I'm super keen.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I can't wait. I mean, it's apparently quite an experience to watch that, especially in one of these 4X cinemas.
4X cinema.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's looking forward to that.
It's going to be legit.
Yeah, 100%.
Should we talk about some news?
We might as well. Seeing as that's what we
do.
So
weigh in when you watch it.
Give it a shot.
So Comair, they are looking at spreading their wings a bit further,
going more regional.
More regional. Great to see.
Yes,
we need a strong Comair.
We do,
no question.
We do.
Comair is a legend company, been around a long time, and
they deserve.
Where they're going, they want to go to Maputo, they want to do Lusaka, Harare. Good news.
Yeah.
Good news.
So the question is, has that International Air Services Council been reinstated?
That's a swear word on this podcast.
Oh, is it now?
That and I know I can't say that because YouTube will kick us off again.
Yeah. Obviously, March 2022, I think they got reinstated again, and now there's a massive backlog. So they've got to get to these. Sort of, what do you call it? Sort out this backlog, which Comair are one of the companies that have applied for routes. So they've got to get to them, and they've got to give an answer, and it can't just be no. It's going to have to be, well, if you've got the network, you put the application in, then we can't really turn you down. Obviously, a lot of the speculation was that maybe it was being kept for
a certain
company. But look, that is speculation. I can't see them turning that down. It will create an absolute shitstorm.
Well, who's more capable of being able to handle regional routes right now?
But Comair's
got they've got the aircraft, they've got the resources.
They're ready to go. They need the other one, need the approval, and off they go.
Not so much. The other one still needs a business partner or something like that. So,
I think they've got one. But look, Comair is going to apply. And I'm sure they're going to get those routes.
Yeah.
The big thing, another bit of news: South Africans are flying again.
Yes.
So Ryan's not. He hasn't flown since 2019. But South Africans in general are flying, and the smaller airports are doing really well. George, as an example, I think George is getting in more traffic these days than what it did pre-2019. That's because proper airlines are flying there, and SA Express is not breaking down every second day and not taking their passengers there. That's why there's more passengers going through there.
Yeah.
But really good to see. So I think up like 48% the recovery. So very good to see. AXA pushed out that data.
Well, I'm part of those statistics because the last time I flew commercial was back in 2020, January, when I'd come back from China.
Okay.
So the first commercial flight I took was in March. Yeah, March of this year.
Okay.
So 2 years.
So I don't feel so lonely.
Yeah.
No. Cool.
So you came from China. You don't have monkey-pox, do you?
Not sure.
that comes from West Africa.
I know.
Not from China.
I know. It's not the Chinese virus.
No.
However, is it going to is it going to impact travel?
No, I don't think it's that serious.
So you do not?
I think they're downplaying it.
Okay.
Well,
so the scientists here have said it would not be in South Africa's best interest to stop travelers coming in because of this.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe I think Bill Gates has already got a vaccine ready for it. I think they said the smallpox vaccine or something still works for that. But ultimately, it's not what we need right now in the whole recovery.
I don't know. When I saw that in the news, I was like, I don't believe this.
Can you believe it?
Eh? Like, come on, man.
And it's almost like the world is ready to hear this news. I kind of get the impression, had this story broken in 2017, people would have just turned off. I mean, what are you talking about?
I don't know. Because, look, the world has gone total
crazy.
Because just before the hoax came out, there was the whole Ebola thing. And people were like quite chilled about Ebola. It's like, oh, it's just another Ebola virus in Africa. Oh, we've seen that before.
Yeah.
It's on a movie somewhere.
Yeah.
And
we're filling. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the hoax came out, and it everything went stupid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've had
never seen that before.
Yeah. Now we've had the Ukraine Russia debacle, and now this. I mean,
what next? There was an article out. I think it was in Forbes about what to expect when you're traveling. Traveling at the moment's not a bucket of roses.
No,
it doesn't matter where you are. Not
all those tests that you have to do.
It's not even that. It's the unstable. The airlines are so unstable. They're so short-staffed, not only in the air but on the ground. The delays apparently are just ludicrous. There's a supply chain issue. You can't get hired cars.
Yeah.
There's less hotels. So many hotels closed down. So they say if you are traveling now, you kind of need to be prepared. You kind of need to go and look at it more of an adventure than anything else. It's not
patience,
all sunshine and rainbows.
You need patience.
You need patience. So they're actually warning people. However, people are still buying tickets and they're still willing to take the risk and actually get the hell out and go and travel. Yeah. But it is worthwhile. Ryan, you take certain things for granted. We're going to go overseas. We're going to go hire a car. Well, that attitude's got to change. You must hire the car now in advance.
Yeah.
You must know what you're going to do.
Funny enough, even in the States, they're talking about that at the moment. I was reading an article last night. If you want to go and travel in the States, with all these TSA clearances and the whole rigmarole there, ordinarily it would take quite a long time to get through the usual process. But now they're allowing you to pre-book your TSA interviews, all that sort of stuff online. So quite right. What you're saying, do everything, do all your prep online long before you travel.
Yes.
And hopefully that translates into a more seamless sort of
Travel experience.
Yeah.
You don't want to get caught
Mm.
and think you can just do it the way you did it in 2017.
Yeah, you can't wing it.
You can't wing it
like a podcast.
So we're out.
But I think the world is ready, even if there's a new pandemic on the horizon. I think we're now used to it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be as scared as we were.
We get for it more.
Yeah,
I think
so.
Yeah.
Bring it on. Well, don't.
Yeah,
but we're ready.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everyone realizes, maybe it was a bit of bullshit.
Maybe a lot.
Maybe.
But
keep it there. Get the episode chucked off again. Staying with our one theme, you know who's jumped on the NFT bandwagon and the metaverse?
Definitely not Gareth Cliff.
No. Emirates.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep. Emirates, you will soon be able to pay for your next flight using Bitcoin. Not that it's not worth a lot at the moment, but they jumping into this whole thing. They've seen the value of the training side of things.
Yeah.
And they're investing in the whole sort of crypto space and the NFTs, and they're big on the training side. So
that's awesome.
Yep. So they're in there.
So we've got to start buying up a bit more.
Ryan and I've got some to sell you if you can. We'll
okay.
Don't worry about that.
Oh, the NFTs?
We'll hook you up.
All right.
Listen, have you bought a crypto pilot yet?
I have not.
From Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan needs.
You got to go in on discount.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit later after the show. The reason I chat about it is like I mentioned old Gareth Cliff, not to diss him, because I listen to a lot of Gareth.
Yeah, he's a legend.
He's great. He's got a great podcast, but he actually had a show the other day, and he was like, "Shit, I still don't understand this whole NFT hype."
Ryan, nor do we.
And I was like listening to it, and I was like, not a lot of people have got to figure it out, and there's a lot of questions, but people are jumping on the bandwagon. So, when the whole world is like sort of curious about something, I think you've got to explore it. You've got to check it out. You've probe it. Don't just dismiss it, at the first onset. And let's see.
It's an interesting space. Our theory with it is not so much to say
we're going to make millions.
Yeah. What? It's not what you said. Pilots in general, and I've picked this up here at the training center.
Yeah.
We need to actually, like modern aircraft got this FMS system. Okay. Yeah. So you can give pilots as many manuals as you want about this FMS.
Yep.
They all want to go sit in the plane and play with the FMS.
Yes.
Because that's how we learn.
You're not going to read the manual.
Yeah. You're not going to read the manual. So you need to actually play with the buttons and figure out how this thing works. Yeah. That's a pilot's way, I think. And that was our reason for getting into it. Maybe hang on, maybe there's potential here for the future. I want to play with this a bit and see how it works.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out where the direct to the millions button is.
Not at the moment.
If you execute. If you find it, pass it on.
Let them know.
100%.
Just to carry on with the story that we did speak about last week, that 737 accident in China.
Yeah.
Americans have come out and said looks like it was deliberate. Chinese have come out and said they can neither confirm nor deny.
Right.
The American
I think that gives us the answer.
Allegations. Yeah. So it looks like that aircraft was purposely, which is
that's very sad.
It is.
I think they're yet to determine though, like who was responsible.
No, they don't know who it is. They don't know if it was one or both, or if it was the pilots at all.
Yeah.
It could have been during a toilet break or something. And but anyway, the controls were manipulated in such a way to push that aircraft nose down into the ground. So
good news for Boeing. At least it's not something that another attack that can be thrown at the manufacturer.
I think that's why the Americans have come out straight away to say, hang on, we can't let this go on for a year.
Yeah.
Those controls were manipulated and this aircraft was I think that's what happened, because I don't see the Chinese coming out with something like that too soon. They didn't comment. So we'll leave it there, because not a nice thing to comment about anyway.
No.
Remember the whole 5G story?
Yes.
In America?
Yeah.
So all the great aircraft, 717s, MD-11s, DC-9s, not that there are many of those flying in the States, but looks like they've sorted out that issue.
That's good.
Yeah. for those aircraft. I thought the CRJ had an issue with it as well. There were a lot of pictures of CRJs, radio altimeters,
really
giving issues with that whole
Maybe
story.
mistaking them for the 717 or whatever. But
they can't mistake a CRJ for 717.
Yeah, you never know. A lot of geniuses out there.
You'll be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. So remember that came out. That was like FAA said newly active 5G signals can interfere with the range of systems on 707, 717, 72s, and DC9s, DC10s, MD80s, 90s, MD11s. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next story. Do you want to know what ALPA have to say about the pilot shortage?
Let's have it.
Why do you look confused?
Like pilot shortage.
The ongoing
ALPA.
pilot shortage that's been going on for 50 years.
So what are you saying? It's a clickbait article.
I mean,
can we discuss that maybe quickly? It's a good topic of discussion.
I think so.
You coming out of your comm, you ready? You asking, what should you do?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously going down the right path with the instructors. But you hear all this stuff, pilot shortage. Ryan and I have heard it our whole career.
Yep.
Never really came to fruition.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you wonder, is it so isolated in the States at the moment, or is it really a thing?
I mean, on my side, my understanding is that it's a shortage within a certain set of criteria. Mm-hmm. So if you are, let's say, the freighter market, and you are rated on that particular aircraft, 747, and they need captains, there's a shortage. But now it's sort of like blended in, and it helps out certain organizations in the industry to say there is a pilot shortage. So, within all levels.
Yeah. The flight schools at the ab initio level obviously have done well, particularly in North America, with the whole pilot shortage story.
Yes.
Now there's talk, the 65 age limit, push it to 67.
I think there definitely is a shortage. If you look at the amount of job advertisements that are going around, I mean, we've got friends all around the world now that are sending us news weekly saying, check out this, there's opportunities available here, there, and everywhere. It's definitely, there's indicators towards a pilot shortage.
Okay, so let me
but I think it's more, Khotso also is like leaning towards it. It's like it's specific sectors, specific types, specific ratings. Okay. That's where the shortage is.
All right.
I think.
So they increased the age from 65 to 68.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is in the US.
Yeah. Let's say they do.
Okay.
So the article here that's on Flight Global says that those older pilots, they'll be forced to leave the most desirable international routes because the international age limit is still 65. So it puts them back on the regionals. The regionals is where the guys build up their hours in the first place. Those big international airlines are not going to now take 650-hour pilots onto the international routes because they've increased the age limit. So you're creating a worse problem.
And then the seniority as well in the mix.
Exactly. They'll hold their seniority. All right. So instead of the younger guys, getting that command upgrade option, they'll then stay. It's like an SAA story. You had guys with 15,000 hours or 20,000 hours on top.
On the left-hand seat of a CRJ, not giving you the chance to command.
But look at SAA. You had incredibly experienced, the old SAA.
Yeah.
Incredibly experienced first officers there for 20 years in the right seat.
Yeah.
Not getting the option to progress. That's like a very small version of what could happen here in the States if you increase that age limit. I'm not like, I see my old man and I he's sort of out even the higher limit to go and fly, but he's well capable of going and doing that flying. So you don't want to say it's not really a physical thing, is it? I don't know, Ryan.
I don't know. It's happening here locally as well. There's airlines that are calling back retired older pilots to say, listen, please come back. We need you.
And locally, you can do it.
Yeah, locally you can do it. So
You just
fly
can't go across
domestically,
the
you just
border.
can't go across the border. So,
So in that sense, if there is a shortage, going back to the question, why is it the case that most people have to, and it's fine, you can build experience and that it really does help, but why is it the case that people still have to go through the rigmarole of bush flying, contract flying, etc.?
Well, it's answered, in the one the Alpha say, what's the point of having someone going along doing 1,500 hours of bush flying?
Mm-hmm.
The airline is going to have to take that 1,500 hours of flying,
Retrain.
throw it out the window to retrain them to be in an airline. And that's my opposition to the whole bush flying thing. Those guys that come and they fly from New Zealand and they do all that fancy stuff, looks great on YouTube. But ultimately, you want that guy bombing around in your 7-3 when things are going wrong, and he's just going to clap it into an airfield here in the corner. It's not the airline way. So the airlines have to train that bush mentality out of these guys. So what these guys are saying is this is pointless.
Yeah, look, I think this could open up a whole can of worms because
what is the
you
podcast
talk
all
about
about?
the bush mentality. I'm not so sure that I fall into that bracket. It's like what that bush flying teaches you is to grow a set of balls. You got to like learn to push your own limits, grow your own envelope. You got to learn to become comfortable with like, well, is this getting tight for me or not? And whether you're flying,
but bearing in mind they want you to be a first officer in the right seat, saying yes, captain.
Yeah, no, look, it's frustrating. It is frustrating, but ultimately, most airlines, that whole mantra when you get employed, we're not employing you to be a first officer, man. You're a captain in training. You're going to be a captain one day.
But don't speak unless spoken to.
Yeah, exactly. So toss that out the window. But ultimately, I wouldn't completely dismiss the bush flying experience because that is where you learn to gauge perspective, gain respect for aircraft performance, runway lengths. When the chips are down, you're on your own in that little 206 and you got to like learn to deal with that. So whether you're in a 206 or 737, it's the same set of balls.
I totally agree. I'm just giving the perspective, from another angle and what these guys are saying. Don't mess with the rules too much because that 1,500-hour rule was put in there for a reason. We have something similar here in South Africa. How many are there any cadet schemes here in South Africa at the moment?
There used to be, but I don't think there are any more at present.
Wasn't there only one?
SAA and SA Express had. They were.
Although I did see a post the other day. SAFE might still be running some sort of a cadet scheme. I'm not sure. That's to be confirmed.
Probably on a smaller scale or something. Yeah. But SAA and South African Express Airways had quite a. Yeah, it was a proper cadet scheme. I mean, a lot of those guys that came through that system did really well. And so that's also not an option, which leads its way to your advice that you got to go somewhere else to go and get that experience because you're not going to get that as part of a cadet scheme. It was an option.
Do you think at any point the MPL program would be introduced in South Africa, like in Europe?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. South Africa still seems quite conservative in the way that the law's written. It's still quite old school in that respect. I mean, the European system is totally different. Flight school into a 320, off you go, get your experience there, and you're basically getting trained for that specific operation. In South Africa, you're not. You're being trained for any situation.
It's an out there question, and it could change because an MPL program is quite different. They need you to go and sit in a simulator for upwards of 100 to 200 hours. That's a lot of time of sitting in a simulator, practicing things. And again, I've always, simulators offer great training. They give you a lot of perspective, and you can practice procedures. And
he has to say that, Khotso.
Okay.
Yeah, undisclosed. But there are elements to real flying that the simulator doesn't give you, and that's where I think in your early days of flying, that's where you learn to grow a sack.
Because when
you can't press pause.
Exactly.
When I started my my PPL, the people that I trained with, or they did the scholarship as well, some of them went on to the MPL program, and they're flying in Europe. And I think one of them just became a captain on an A320.
Nice to see.
So nice to see. And he's about 26 or so years old. So Right? It seems like it works.
Yeah, look,
to an extent.
You can't diss it. I mean, I think that people, going to be watching, particularly some of the older guys going, no ways, man.
Yeah.
I remember back in my early days, the first jet I flew was a DC-9, and some of the guys that I was flying with were real old toppies. I mean, one of the guys comes to mind, Paul Sear. I mean, Paul, I used to think, hey, this guy's so lazy in the flight deck. I mean, he doesn't do anything. He's got no SOPs. And until the one day we were flying into PE, and I think there was like a 90-degree crosswind, and the wind was gusting up to 35 knots. And then I just saw this totally different person on final approach. I mean, this guy was fighting this aircraft. We landed perfectly on the numbers, on the center line, and he like came to life when things were a bit difficult. And that's just experience. You can't get away from it. And you go back to that Sully quote. I know it's been told millions of times, but there is no substitute for experience in the flight deck. And it's evident to see in the simulators during training. The guys with the experience, the guys that have been through scenarios before in real life, tend to be more capable of handling them in the sims. And we've seen it around the world with a lot of our colleagues that have found themselves jobs in other parts of the world. None of those guys have come back and said, wow, it was so hard to get in, the interview was hard, or the sim check ride was hard. And a lot of those guys had the experience. They were pilots already. They got into the job based on the fact that they know what they're doing. And I think, you can train someone for a specific scenario. But if that scenario changes.
So then it goes back to the whole bush flying thing, as what Ryan was saying, that you learn that decision-making process in that, pressure environment.
I think, that whole sort of setup from your early days of flying is just, you learn to gain perspective, runway lengths, performance, how much weight can I actually fit in this airplane. Things happen.
Ryan asks himself that all the time.
I don't know. Look, I was just, while you were talking now, I was thinking about, and I was reflecting back on some of the days of flying. As much as we hated the days of bad weather and dealing with technicalities and whatever, but
that's when you come to life.
Do you remember landing from a flight where you've had a hard day? You've dodged weather. You've diced. All sorts of challenges.
One of those days where you say to your fellow crew member, come, we're going for a beer now.
And then you're driving home and you're thinking back about the whole flight and you're thinking, shit, man, as much as I hated it at the time, I actually that adrenaline,
those things where you put your seat back into a slightly more upright position. You tighten your belt, make sure your tires on proper, and
your elbows are into armrests. Like, let's do this, boys. This is what we get paid for.
I love those days. I miss those days a lot.
I won't admit it, but I do as well. I do miss that adrenaline and that. But
okay, can we shut up about flying for a second and talk about my Brana advisory for the
he's got to do his advisory. This guy rates himself in his advisory.
Well, we always look forward to it.
Let's have it.
There's a new Google tool out there to practice your interview process. It's called Google Warmup. So it goes through all the questions. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? All right.
Oh,
great. What do you do when you need to learn something new? These are questions you get asked in interviews all the time, whether you're going for an airline or e-commerce, whatever it might be. And what this does, it's got an AI algorithm there.
I was about to ask.
And basically you answer the question. You can either write it down or you can answer verbally, and it kind of gives you like, hang on, that answer kind of leads itself down a bit of a path that you might want to avoid in an interview.
No ways.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. So it's a warm up. So it knows, you tell it, listen, I've got a job at some e-commerce company. So it goes into the sort of e-commerce sort of
knows what they're looking for.
Knows what they're looking for. Yeah. So you answer the question and then it says, I like that angle over there, but maybe steer away from that. And then you can try the next answer. and and you can practice because you know what it's like. You've been here on the podcast now. Nothing like being thrown a question. You tell me about yourself. So, okay, well,
were you ready for the Brian Air podcast today?
I mean, it's and if you can practice those things, well, all the more better. So there is a tool out there.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I like advisory. I mean, it's going to go well for.
I tried, bit difficult from a pure aviation perspective because it's a very niche. But if you want to practice your people skills and certainly that HR interview, which is a big thing at airlines.
It's a difficult part of the interview to pass.
It's a very difficult part.
Soft skills is very hard, actually.
Particularly if you're an arsehole. It's difficult.
Brian will know that very, very well. He ticks a lot of those boxes.
But now you're taking away all the fun for HR, HR managers, because I'm sure they enjoy that process of, how are we going to test this?
That's because there's a lot of ex-pilots that have gone and studied HR courses that need jobs right now. So
one of the
things, what we're doing here.
Yeah, okay.
One of the things that came out of this though is this: you can't sound desperate in your interview. It can't be this. I need this job because I need the financial stability. It's got to be I need this job because I want to work for this company. And having a bit of a practice round is a good thing. You can't practice with your friends and family because you're gonna answer in a way where you're trying to actually impress them. So go and use an AI bot or something and do it. I think it's quite a good idea.
Yeah, your friends and family aren't always going to be brutally honest with you.
They're not.
That's a great answer. In the meantime, they're thinking like
my mom is a classic example. Ryan and I will produce the world's worst podcast where we spoke about crap. It swore too much, but she'll say it's the best podcast she's ever heard.
But that's what moms are supposed to do.
Exactly. But try that out. So I think that's quite a cool thing.
Yeah, awesome.
We're on episode 98 today. Are we going to commit to doing 2 next week?
Why not? This is.
I think Ryan and I are quite keen to push out the 100 next week. So stand by for
it a try.
That. I think
give
so.
It a try.
We did that Shoot the Breeze episode, which was quite popular.
Yeah.
Where Ryan and I just talk crap like we normally do. So if you want to check that one out, possibly Monday or Tuesday we'll push that out, and then 100 next week. ESCOM permitting. Yeah,
we'll see.
It'll be cool. So
it's doable, but as you both know, the process in getting a video out on YouTube on a weekly basis, it's
not easy. Yeah,
it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Khotso, where can people find you?
They could find me on YouTube, of course. So Lesotho's Pride. I've just got a website developed as well to expand the brand. So they can find me on Khotso so it's KHOTSO. I know in South Africa it's spelled KGOTSO. So Khotso-Marumo.com. They can find me on Instagram as well, KPM Marumo, LinkedIn, Khotso Marumo, and also Facebook, Lesotho's Pride. So pretty much all platforms. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I encourage everyone to go check that out because he's a great guy. He gives off a real positive vibe, even without meeting him in real life from before. Confident, not scared to ask, hey, guys, this is who I am. This is what I want. And I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So well done on everything you've done. I love your videos. I think they're fantastic.
Thank you.
You know what I like about them? They're just real, man.
Yeah.
They're real. And they're a guy flying this aircraft, trying something out, learning a new skill with the podcasting. My advice to you, don't worry too much about that 1,000.
Yep.
You're going to get there anyway.
Yep.
So aim for something even higher.
Yep.
Because, I think you've got the skill and the talent to do
Thank
it.
you.
And I'd like to be associated with you going forward. I know Ryan's a big fan of yours.
Thank you.
Look, I mean,
I'm a big fan of the Brian Air podcast. So
from our side, I mean, all I can do is, Khotso, thank you very much. Khotso.
There we go.
We've got another. Khotso's our IT guy, so we find him a lot. But Khotso, thank you very much for your support of our show and for always being there and giving us a high five when you need it, and we appreciate it. And it's really cool to be able to support someone like yourself as well, who's also out there, new in the sort of content creator space, and not scared to just push it and
what I definitely try to do is as you say, keep it real with the YouTube channel. I don't want it to. I want people to experience, the challenges, how I learn as I'm flying, and just give exposure to the demographics either in my age bracket or younger, because I felt as if in Southern Africa there are very few content or YouTubers who are providing that type of, this is how you become a pilot, this is the process in terms of the career, this is the process in training. So I just felt, let me put this content out there. I have some videos. I started off March 2021 and I had about I think 10 or so episodes available in the backlog.
And that's important too, right? To have that
back catalog.
It's
worth a lot.
And I always said to myself, okay, I'll start a YouTube channel because I had these videos since back 2014. But starting is always the hard part. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to make one video this week and that's it. Nothing more. Posted on a Wednesday. And I said, okay, that's not too bad. I'll try again next week. Posted another and another. And then you just get into that habit. And now I can't, it's difficult to say, oh, this week I'm not going to do a video. It's built into your system. So,
because we're all about that as well, is that consistency. It's a very big sort of thing with us as well. It's if you don't do it, you almost feel like you
feel off.
It's something's not right,
and you've let yourself down.
You've let yourself down
because it is a lot of work.
Yeah,
and the only reason you get out of it is because maybe you can't fit it in, or it's just too much for that particular week.
You can't let that go, man.
You can't let it go.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, you got to do it. I still run, and if we do another episode, 2 episodes next week, if we do our Shoot the Breeze next week early, I still want to go a little bit further into that advisory from last week where I explained to you the process
of Instapaper
and Readwise that's made my life so it's 100% in improvement on the podcast. The podcast is no longer this like severe I've got to study for this thing burden, because that's what it was. You were studying every week for this show. You can't in aviation, and this is why this whole story with these startup airlines, you cannot fool aviators. The guys know too much about it. Everyone from the guys involved with GA stuff all the way up to the airlines, you can't bullshit these guys. They know what they're talking about. You can't come along and make up some ridiculous business plan about what the hell you're going to do. When we comment on a story, we better know what we're talking about, because the oaks are going to chop you down. And I like to think that we've done enough to get to this point where people kind of see the angle that we're coming from, even if it's not always the angle that they would have gone with. They kind of see our angle. But you can't bullshit pilots. You can't bullshit the aviation industry. The guys live, eat, and breathe this. You can't make up a story. And this is what makes us so unique. And it will carry on. One other thing, Samero's 20th birthday. We celebrated on Tuesday.
Yes,
what a jewel, eh?
I saw that.
We had a 20th birthday.
Yeah,
so,
long time.
Yeah, we had an awesome little occasion there. It was a lovely day. We live streamed it with our colleagues in Paris and Dinard, in Istres in France, and in China. We got an engineering firm in China as well.
My word.
So it was an awesome day. And cool to work for this progressive company.
It certainly was a special occasion, and it was nice to be part of the event, as part of this team. It's quite a dynamic and a unique sort of sort of environment. Lots of challenges, and it was very, very cool.
Congratulations to Samero.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
And as always, we'll end off today with the people that watch. The Brown Air podcast. There are many podcasts that go out live. We don't edit. We do the show and we cut it now. We put a little intro and an ending, but then we send it out. So we do the show live. We'll carry on doing it live. And there are people that watch, and it's kind of cool. It gives us that bit of satisfaction, and it's part of the whole networking effect, Ryan. You often see the same names, and just to thank the guys, Dave LaRue, afternoon. gentleman, Gav Hill.
Yeah.
Afternoon gents, Marcel Smith watching us again. He's become a real legend.
And Marcel's a
supporter
big
there.
fan.
Yeah, he's a huge fan. Keegan
King
Glass,
my instructor. Yes.
I don't know what he's talking about because he says you're a great guy, but anyway,
Amazing pilot. Hey,
No, he was a great instructor.
had the privilege of training him in
Yeah.
his initial stages of CPL and amazing pilot. So
Yeah.
that's a very cool thing. I'll screen grab that for you and send it
Thank
to you
you.
later.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Janet here as well. Afternoon, gentlemen. Janet's always there.
Yeah, super fan, old
Yeah.
Janet.
Yolanda, afternoon, gents. Dave Sterling, what a legend Dave is actually. Afternoon, lads.
Thank you, Dave.
I'm going to let you pronounce that one, Ryan.
Alan McCauley says, I tell you, hi
He's
everyone.
become an Inu
Kittit. No,
already.
we're gonna need Al on the show for that.
But Al, yeah, says good for you, Khotso, a man of many and varied talents. Al
Thank you
was
very
actually
much.
Ryan and my he was our chief pilot for many years in SA
Really?
Express. Hell of a great guy.
Fond memories.
Kevin
by that
Parrock,
comment.
always wary of someone with his surname, but greetings, gents. Alya as well says Gia in China doesn't really exist like we understand it. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yolanda, yeah, well done, Khotso. Inspirational story, never ever give up. So
Thank you,
very
Yolanda.
cool. Dave, yeah, GA in South Africa is unprecedented. It's a privilege we can't take for granted, for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely agree.
So very cool here. Mark Thompson, another problem keeping local guys. Yeah, anything older than 50 years old seems too old these days, regardless of experience, for sure. Something we're going to have to look at in the industry.
Yeah.
If you want to know a subject, teach it. My time instructing holds some of my favorite flying memories.
So true.
That is so true.
Yeah.
That is so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thanks, David.
Standing up front of in the classroom,
Yeah.
trying to teach something, and then you realize you thought you knew something
Mhm.
until you try and explain it to someone.
Yeah.
And you, geez, I don't know this as well as I thought
Yeah.
I did.
Mm.
Then you got to go back to the drawing board and try and understand it.
Exactly.
You know what's nice with the instructor community as well?
Mhm.
The guys aren't scared to ask each other, how do you do this? Or how do you explain that?
Yep.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And sometimes you hit a bit of a blank with a student and you're just not getting through. Then, you know, a lot of airlines, they switch over to another instructor.
Yeah.
But the guys talk a lot and it's quite nice to
Yeah.
do that.
So
So,
it ups your learning curve then.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, that one coming up again. My missus, yeah. Bambino. Gents.
Hey, Nicole.
Yeah. Ian, yeah, hi gents as well. Let's have a look here. Al Macaulay. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of comments coming through here. Mark Thompson says those old HU748 cappies at exec knew their shit. Yeah. Salute. Yeah, that's for sure. Someone here was a bit late for the live show. I guess I'll listen to the podcast on the Apple Podcast app.
There you go.
Absolutely.
That's it.
That's
Apple
where you'll find it.
Podcast,
That's where it is.
all the
That's our
platforms.
bread and butter. But Spotify everywhere, we're there.
Yeah.
And
Thank you, Lesotho.
we're not going anywhere.
No
So,
worries.
Khotso,
Yep.
it was fantastic having you on the show today,
Thank you
man.
very much for having me.
What
Thanks
a
for
cool
joining.
guest,
Pleasure.
Ryan.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it was great to have you, man. A long
Thank
time
you.
coming, and
Oh yes, definitely.
glad we got to finally meet you.
Yeah.
And listen, all the best with all your,
Endeavors, yeah.
your training and becoming an instructor. So
And if
keep us
Khotso
filled in.
gets
Yeah,
more
will do.
subscribers than we do, I'm deleting this episode off YouTube because we're just making him too famous.
Yeah, 100%.
No, but then I'll have to bring you on the show, on my show,
Exactly.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Certified
To boost
Podcast.
them
There
up
you go.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for
Yeah.
listening.
Thank
And yeah, Ryan, maybe 100 next week.
Yeah,
Have a lovely weekend ahead, everyone. I'm going to enjoy Top Gun on Saturday.
Yeah.
Enjoy it tonight.
Enjoy.
Khotso.
Thanks. Cheers.
Take it
Will
easy,
do.
pal. And guys, yeah, have fun. Catch you next week. Ciao, ciao.
Goodbye for now.
Bye.